the path of least resistance. Unfortunately, in this episode, the path of least resistance was through the ventilators of the basement. What a tragedy. And what happened was, what actually triggered the incident was that a car was passing by, and due to the pressure of the movement of that car, the embankment broke and all the waters rushed inside and flooded the basement. And it was akin to a flash flood. It was very difficult for people to get out. In the rush and the melee, those who could, they made it. But the tragedy struck these 3 students, 2 girls and a boy, and who died before their time. And again, I would say the MCD should have cleaned the drains, and it was as if we need to have a boating expedition on the roads, starting from the most posh areas where the embassies are, right to where Mukherjee Nagar and these areas. And then you have a situation where there is overflooding, you have no licenses, people are fleeced, and after the fleecing, you do not even give the basic precautions and ensure the safety and security of the students. 900 students in the classroom. Here, in this case, even they were not supposed to be there. It was supposed to be a storage area. You were using it as a library. On what grounds? And the charges, I will hold something against the police also.
Right.
This is a criminal conspiracy in which the fire department, primarily the Rao Study Circle, secondarily the fire service, and thirdly the MCD. I hold this tripartite and this tikadi responsible for this avoidable tragedy. And they should be held responsible not for culpable homicide, but culpable 302 of the Indian Penal Code, now read as 105 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. As also, you must understand, invoke the provisions of the National Security Act and book the whole lot of them. They deserve it to be, and the nation wants an answer.
Severe action needs to be taken, but let's try and establish how we came to this point where 3 students were not just trapped, but despite previous students are saying that this place, this area is susceptible to flooding, we allowed such academies to flourish. We have Nikita Pipli joining us. She's an ex-student of Rao's IS Academy. Nitika, I beg your pardon. In your experience, when you were a student at Rao's, was this a frequent problem? Did you raise it up with the concerned authorities?
Actually, when I was a student, there was no library, no basement library. And actually, the library is that we are calling it, it's not a library. It was made as a examination center where students would write their mock papers, and we were not really allowed to sit there to study. And it was freshly built when I was studying. So there was no issue back then.
Okay, so you were saying it was not a place to study and it was built while you were still a student at Rao's. What was the purpose of that area?
Actually, students would be allowed only if they were attending mocks and tests, weekly tests, because writing exams, there was no place in the classes because classes would run on a tight schedule, and the books and the material would be handed out to students in that area only. So I had to also go and collect my monthly magazines and everything from that area. Okay. So I've seen that area, been there.
You've seen the area, you've been there, and you're saying it was created while you were still a student at Rao's, essentially for students to write their mock examination. But it was an area which was accessible to students. It was an area where students could go freely, write their examination if and when needed, in case other areas were full, were preoccupied. I also want to bring in Preeti Agrawal, who's the former mayor of MCD, into this conversation. Preeti, a lot of conversation is around how MCD failed to do its duty, its due diligence, and hence the area flooded. Do you think the blame squarely lies with MCD right now?
Of course, it goes without saying, all said and done, Steve. I'm not beating around the bush. Let's talk to the point. अकाउंटेबिलिटी जो है वो सरकार की होती है, सरकार की होनी चाहिए. बहुत ही गंभीर विषय ये है कि 3 बच्चों ने, ना सिर्फ 3 बच्चों ने, किराड़ी में एक बच्चे ने, किराड़ी में एक व्यक्ति ने, बादली में 2 बच्चों ने, पटेल नगर में एक बच्चे ने, यमुना विहार में एक महिला ने, रोहिणी में एक बच्चे ने, आखिर कितनी मौतें होंगी? कब ये दिल्ली सरकार जागेगी? ना तो नालियों की अपग्रेडेशन हुई, ना ही नालों की सिल्टिंग हुई. आखिर एमसीडी किसके पास है? आम आदमी पार्टी के पास है. दिल्ली सरकार में कौन है? दिल्ली जल बोर्ड इज विद होम. ये सब आम आदमी पार्टी के पास है। आखिर हमारी जो युवा पीढ़ी है उसके साथ ये लापरवाही कब तक होती रहेगी? और डिस्कशन क्या होती है कि अरविंद केजरीवाल ने जेल में क्या खाया? कितनी शर्म की बात है। काउंसलर आम आदमी पार्टी का, एमएलए आम आदमी पार्टी का, एमसीडी आम आदमी पार्टी की, मेयर आम आदमी पार्टी की, उसके बाद भी आखिर व्हाट आर दे वेटिंग फॉर? किस लिए काम नहीं हो रहा है? सिर्फ हम हमेशा जो है आरोप प्रत्यारोप करना, उसके बाद भाग जाना, पीसीस करना, क्या यही काम है आम आदमी पार्टी का? क्या यही काम है सरकार का? यही काम रह गया सरकार का? वी आर नॉट हियर टू प्ले टू ड्रीम टू लिव, वी हैव हार्ड वर्क टू डू एंड लोड्स टू लिव. They should understand all this.
Okay. Now, without getting into the politics of it, Preeti, in your assessment, having been a former mayor of the MCD, what is MCD expected to do in a situation like this when you know an area is susceptible to flooding? I don't want to go about how many press conferences Aam Aadmi Party conducts, but I do want to hold someone responsible. And as you're saying, and as a lot of authorities are saying, it's the MCD which is responsible for actually cleaning those lines, those drainages, to ensure that the water flows smoothly. At this point, in your assessment, who all should be taken to task for this loss of life, for this horrendous loss of life, for these 3 kids succumbing to a situation that could easily have been avoided?
In any case, we cannot ignore the ministers and the mayor and the CM of Delhi. But otherwise, desilting is with MCD. दिल्ली के अंदर पीडब्ल्यूडी और एमसीडी के जो अधिकारी हैं, उनकी जो ये करप्शन है, जिस तरह से वो लिप्त हैं, क्यों बिल्डिंग बायलॉज को इग्नोर किया जाता है, बिल्डिंग बायलॉज को क्यों नहीं इम्प्लीमेंट किया जाता है, कैसे वहां पर बेसमेंट के अंदर, कैसे वहां पर लाइसेंसिंग, किस डिपार्टमेंट ने लाइसेंसिंग दी और क्यों लाइसेंसिंग दी। मैं पिछले साल की बात याद दिलाती हूँ, जब इसी तरह से कोचिंग सेंटर के अंदर आग लग गई थी, वहां बच्चे जलने जब लगे, जब वहां पे पूरी तरह से आग लग गई, आग फैल गई, तो बच्चे ऊपर से जंप करने को मजबूर हो गए। अभी देखिए ना, आखिर किस तरह से ये सब लापरवाही जो है वो ऑब्वियसली डिपार्टमेंट की भी है, अधिकारियों की है, लेकिन अधिकारियों को नियंत्रण में करना तो सरकार का काम है ना। अगर अधिकारी काम नहीं कर रहे हैं तो हु विल चेक? आफ्टर ऑल मेयर की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी क्या है? व्हाट इज शी फॉर देन? शी शुड रिजाइन। कभी भी सीएम जो है, दिल्ली सरकार जेल से चल रही है, मतलब आई एम रियली शॉर्ट ऑफ वर्ड्स, व्हाट टू से।
Okay, well, it does look like there's not enough governance. If at all, there is misgovernance, at least in this case and previous such cases where MCD is not doing its duty, and as a result of which it is the people who continue to suffer. We are bringing you, of course, the story on the tragic death of 3 students who died on Saturday in Rao's IS Academy, and visuals, of course, on your screens of people and succumbed to that unfateful tragedy on that day. Let's also get in more voices on the show. As we do know that preliminary investigation is suggesting that it was the MCD which was responsible, but it was also the Rao administration which could have done better. Dr. Vikram Singh, trying to bring you back into this conversation, sir. In your assessment, I think 7 people have now been arrested, charges have been brought in, but it's not just MCD, right? It's many such mushrooming centers of education which are more commercial than ever, who use every place that they can find to get students together to ensure that they make enough money. Action has been taken, but action seemed to be post facto. And there's always a case here, sir, where we see action post facto, by which time, let's say in case of a Vivek Vihar like fire, when 7 kids were charred to death, to this incident where it seems like we only wake up, authorities only wake up after something is already done.
This shows a very cavalier and a lax attitude towards management. Regular inspections, regular checks and balances, and taking the defaulters to task. Nothing like this happened, Shreya. Something like this would have happened, and there's something very basic and rudimentary. If one has a casual attitude, this casual attitude has resulted in a tragedy that was totally preventable and avoidable. And then you very rightly mentioned that these coaching institutions are schools of scandal, and the way they fleece their students and the trusting parents, where I would certainly recommend that there should be an audit of this coaching industry or the coaching mafia. I would say that the coaching industry, read it as coaching mafia, because the manner in which they extort money from students and the parents is anybody's guess. It is, I'm told, it is an industry of more than 1,000 crores. And if you're making such huge amount of scandalous amount of profits, then you jolly well invest it in the safety and security of the students. To the contrary, you are using every square inch of the land that is available to you in illegitimate means, using the storage area as a classroom, as a library, as an examination center, and whatnot, making the optimum use to extract as much as is possible from the investment that has been made. And that is where the problem arises. And the action that is taken, let us see for the next 72 hours, Shreya, whether NSA is invoked or not, or there will be just cosmetics, and then we will say and wait for another tragedy to happen.
All right. Well, we hope, Dr. Singh, that it goes beyond just lip service, that it goes just beyond bulldozer, being run over, current encroachment of drainages and of illegally mushrooming, educational sites. It goes beyond that, and there is law implemented in letter and in spirit. We are, of course, discussing that tragedy that resulted in death of 3 students in old Rajendra Nagar on Saturday, and what can be done to prevent those tragedies. We'll come back to you after this very short break.
One and a half years has happened since the violence erupted in the state. What are the core issues today?
Present crisis is, I am very sad in a sense, it should not be like this. The increasing number of illegal migrants in particular districts and particular community is, very alarming. The cabinet took a decision to live together all harmoniously. We decided to include the Sin Cookie brothers also, those who settling, all settled. In reality, all the initiative were taken by the government.
Statement that you are a victim of conspiracy because you started a war on drugs.
Yeah, really, that is the main root cause why I am suffering today.
Hey, careful, huh? My daddy got it from abroad. Hey, disaster! How will you pay for the loss now?
In stock market, you should take risk as per your capacity and knowledge. Trade in options very carefully.
Wow, Dikra! Absolutely perfect! Take risk with full understanding.
सोच कर, समझ कर, invest कर.
Welcome back. You're watching News 9 Live. 3 students lost their life after they were drowned in the basement of their coaching center in the national capital. It was a tragic death that happened at Rao's IAS Study Circle in Rajendra Nagar on Saturday. The details are shocking. This, of course, after excessive rainfall on Saturday resulted in a flood-like situation where water gushed into the basement, where about 30 students were trapped. 3 students could not come out. Visuals on your screens of that harrowing incident that has shook the conscience of parents, of students, of aspiring civil servants as to how a premier institute in the national capital allowed for such a situation to happen at all. Arrests have been made, but questions are being asked if this is enough, if we should be waking up to these incidents after these incidents happen, and who's exactly responsible for this menace. One of the students of Rao's IAS Academy, Nitika Pipli, continues to be with us. Nitika, we were discussing how this place, this basement was actually created while you were still a student there. Now, you've seen what's happened here. It's a tragedy that could have been averted. What are you hearing from your fellow students who were there when you were at Rao's? What is the general sentiment like?
Everybody is enraged. That is for sure. And the fact that the institute and the media is underreporting the cases is a big stress for the students. And we have gotten this news that there have been more than 10 deaths because of rain and waterlogging, but the media is only showing 3 or 4. So institute like Rouse IS, which was
Nitika, at
if
this point, I think it's important to tell our viewers that that may not necessarily be true. I understand that there are conversations that more students have died, but the only formal confirmation that we have so far is the death of 3 students.
yeah,
Go on,
but
Nitika.
actually there was not this death is not about that same day at the same institute. Few students, few aspirants also died a few days back because of live wires in water, and they were electrocuted. And these are actually facts, because we
Okay.
have been there, we study there, we see everyday thing. And yeah, it's like it's not fake as per my thing, but yeah, media is surely underreporting the cases.
Okay, well, media is underreporting the case. That is what one of the students, Nitika, who's with us on the show, is telling us. Let's also quickly get in Advocate Anubhav Shrivastava Sai, an educationalist and president of India White Parent Association. Anubhav, in your assessment, is this a problem that is specific to Delhi? Is it a pan-India problem? We are looking at mushrooming of various educational institutions, some of which have NOCs for reasons that are not specified in the law. They say that there is a storeroom, but it's instead used as a classroom, as a result of which such a tragedy happened, at least in Rouse. And many tragedies are waiting to happen in other parts of the national capital. There looks like there has been some action. Is that action enough?
Thank you for having me on this show and for taking up this issue also. It's a very serious matter, and now coaching institutes are mushrooming across India. It's not only Delhi, across India, and now the government has also come up with regulation which we have been demanding. We have been demanding to regulate these coaching institutes. The government has come up with a regulation, and the implementation part is what we will be looking at now. But what has happened in Delhi was really shocking, and that could have been controlled. We did not need any regulation to control such things, which is like classes being run, anything which is being run in illegal premises or maybe in the basement. That is not allowed. We cannot even park in my society. We cannot park any car also. One car is allowed. How can you even have a class, coaching class in a basement? So strict action must be taken against the authorities, those who have given permission or those who are aware of all these things. The institute must be punished. Not only that, the authorities, the government is also accountable. They are responsible for this mishap, and a criminal case must be registered under criminal negligence, culpable homicide against these authorities.
Okay.
Because these students are preparing and they're coming, they're from a very they're from very poor family. Though all these students who are preparing for IAS, these students are staying in Delhi and other parts of Delhi also. So if this is the situation in a city like Delhi, the capital of India, then I'm really shocked. What will be the situation in other states and other cities and other remote areas or maybe urban areas also?
Okay. You're also associated with, Anubha, you're also associated with India White Parent Association. What are parents feeling at this point? We saw visuals of some of those parents, at least of the parents who've lost their kids to that mishap. What is the general sentiment like? You know, there are lots of dreams in their eyes when they send their kids away to places like Delhi, Bengaluru, Mumbai, Kota, and to get their children back, not alive, but their mortal remains, is it's dreaded by any parent. It's their worst nightmare. What, in your assessment, needs to be done and needs to be done now for things to change?
See, definitely parents are very shocked, and now even many parents are worried whether we should be sending our children to these institutes or for the coaching or not, because there is no regulation. And even if there is no regulation, there is no accountability as far as the government is concerned. They are not taking any responsibility. Now they are taking action. Why they are waiting for these incidents to happen, for this tragedy? Every time when there is a tragedy, then only all these authorities, all these government, they act. Otherwise, they don't act. So parents are very worried about their children. And across India now, parents, it's not only about UPSC, that the UPSC students are taking coaching. There are several other coaching institutes which are running across India, pan-India. So this is not a serious, this is not a small matter. It's a very serious matter.
Not at all, not a serious matter, but I am running very short on time and I want to get in a last word from Dr. Singh. Dr. Singh, can the MCD officials, and I know action is to be taken against those MCD officials also who were responsible for giving permits, who were responsible for taking care of the drainage system in the area. Can Delhi police at this point has the authority to take action on the MCD officials as well?
Absolutely, the criminal negligence, and they're a part of the co-conspiracy and also willing accessories to this crime and also beneficiaries of this loot. And therefore, MCD is answerable. Too little coming too late, suspending and dismissing an assistant engineer here and an assistant engineer there or a junior engineer. It doesn't cut any ice and is most unconvincing an action. Heads should roll and the topmost officers should be held responsible for this terrible tragedy. Nothing short of that will do. You're very right when you said that post facto action is being taken. Now we need to be proactive and ensure no such tragedy happens.
All right, Dr. Singh, Nitika, Anubha, thank you very much, all of you, for taking time out, for joining us on this show. A small action to the tune of suspending a junior engineer would be just seen as a lip service, as perhaps is not enough. As Dr. Singh is suggesting, there needs to be action against those responsible. Remember, these kids came to Delhi with dreams in their eyes. They were sent by their parents who took loans to pay for their education. They're now going home in coffins. These incidents serve as a wake-up call for civic bodies, for authorities, from the fire incident at a children's hospital in Vivek Vihar in Delhi in May, which claimed 7 lives, to the Rajendra Nagar flooding. The building plans in these cases are often found to be in violation of the law. These incidents, cases of civic apathy, can be avoided. They can simply be avoided by more audits, stringent checks and physical inspections by officials. That is, if the administration does its job better. And with that, we have come to the end of this show. Now, in an exclusive interview with my colleague Kartikeya Sharma, Manipur's Chief Minister Biren Singh opens up about the ongoing crisis in Manipur and the alarming situation of illegal immigrants, and reveal how he has become a target of conspiracies due to his unwavering war on drugs. Don't miss the full interview at 7 p.m. today. Thank you for watching.
1.5 years has happened since the violence erupted in the state. What are the core issues today?
Present crisis is, I am very sad in a sense, it should not be like this. The increasing number of illegal migrants in particular districts and particular community is, very alarming. The cabinet took a decision